Hello and welcome to the London United Filmmaker Podcast. My name is Gregory Randolph. I'm a writer and director from Boston, Massachusetts. I currently live in London, where I attended the London Film School. This podcast is an opportunity for me to tell you about emerging filmmakers currently active in the UK from around the world. Today, I have Nizah Elias on the podcast. Nizah is a DOP from the London Film School. She's originally from Mumbai, India, and moved to England in 2018 to begin her studies here. Nizah works as senior visual researcher at Ambush.tv, making visual presentations and doing research for commercial projects. We discuss her experiences making films at London Film School and making ends meet as a graduate. Nizah Elias, thank you so much for being on the London United Filmmaker Podcast. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm very good today. It's actually sunny this morning.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this camera can see here, but there's a little sun peeking through. I try and keep it kind of equalized, on sunny or rainy days. But we're blessed in end of January to have a nice day. So, yeah, it's not always terrible weather in London. You know, the sun peeks out.
One day a week.
Yeah, one day a week. It's like official. It's a science. Nizah, I mean, it's such a pleasure to have you on. We met on the set of a grad film from London Film School called A Splinter in the Eye. I was sparking for that film. You were gaffer for that film. And it's just a very memorable moment in my kind of LFS career, working with Dovidas as well, who I've had on the podcast. And it was just very fun. You know, you're highly skilled. Pablo was coming in from who knows where. It was just like a very active, essentially a film that it's meant to be one long take. And it was in an abandoned, I believe, hospital.
Yeah. No, I think, some kind of building, yeah.
And we were rigging we were putting lights in the ceiling, we were doing a bunch of cool stuff. It was just really fun to work with you, someone who was so skilled and had already worked on so many projects, and I was just learning a lot then. So I'm happy we're able to kind of chat, because we never really got a chance to chat more. And the podcast is awesome because it really allows just us to share our conversation a little bit as well as we get to know each other. And I think there's just a lot of people that will be like, oh, cool, I never knew that about Nizah. And now it's something that is cool, and I think enriches our community a little bit. So without me talking my head off and just going on and on and on, usually with the podcast, I like to start at the beginning and learn a little bit about what got you into filmmaking. Just to go over, you generally specialize as a cinematographer. Yeah. But you also gaff, and you work in lots of different capacities. So with that being said, maybe you can just talk a little bit about maybe where you're from and just what got you into filmmaking. What kind of was the first inklings that you wanted to take this path?
Yeah. I honestly wish that I knew from day one that I wanted to be a cinematographer. I didn't know that. Maybe I felt it, but I just didn't know it. Because I feel like now when I look back at it, everything sort of leads back to this. And it's obviously that's what I wanted to do my whole life. When I was a child, I was obsessed with TV. I would sit really close to the TV and just be obsessed. I would come back home and just watch TV all day. And there were probably 3 channels. And out of them, one was this channel called World Cinema. And there was films from all over the world. And my most distinct memory of the first film that I've ever watched is this film called Viva Cuba. I tried finding it now, but it's pretty a really small indie film that I just happened to watch about these 2 children and just Cuba at a very pivotal time, and these just 2 kids in the middle of war and trying to figure out just be children. And I remember I was 5 when I watched this, but I was wow, this is fun. This is so exciting. And I just wanted to be with them, in TV, inside the TV. And so I was they act the actors, obviously, because that's what a film is about. It's just about being an actor. And when you're younger, or if you don't know much about film, you just imagine, what is there to films? Just an actor, and then there's maybe somebody who tells them what to do. So there's an actor, and then there's a director, maybe. So I acted when I was younger. I did a lot of theater. I was like the lead role of every single class play. I was very much like the very talkative, couldn't shut up. Like they sent me for a TV show when I was 6 years old for this TV show called Bon Vita Quiz Contest. It was like a quiz show for like school kids, and you win prizes and things like that. But for us, it was just 6-year-old kids, so it was just like a friendly one. And they just sent me there because I was just very chatty, and I didn't really know any answers, but I was just very much I just liked being in the center stage. I liked being on TV. I liked like the attention and all of that. And then when I was older, well, like maybe 12, 13, I acted in a musical, which was the first musical that came, like the first like Broadway-esque musical that came to Bombay, which was called The Wizard of Oz. And I was a munchkin. And that was really lovely. But I think that was, from my memory, like the last time that I ever acted. I don't know what happened. I just kind of went into that age where you get really self-conscious and then just didn't want to act anymore, I guess. And then I met my mom's friend who was an ad film director, and I was like, that exists? That's a job? Like, what do you do? And he told me a little bit about like writing scripts and making them into films and things like that. And I think he went to like the Indian National Film School. And I was like, okay, like that's what I should do. And I think a couple years after that, I must have been like 14, and there was a really bad terrorist attack that happened in Mumbai. And where I live is this place called Colaba, and it was pretty much the center of like most of the different attacks that were happening. There was like 2 hotels and things that were like literally a kilometer away from my house, and everyone was just like in lockdown at home. You couldn't get out of your house there were these 10 terrorists, and for I think 5 days we couldn't get out of the house because we just didn't know what was going on. And that whole time, I remember just watching the news and being like, oh my God, like I want to do that. I want to be out there when things are happening and just be like, in the forefront of things. I don't want to be watching from home. So I started then thinking that I wanted to do journalism and films, something between films and journalism. I don't know. I wasn't interested in broadcast and things like that. So then I went to Spain. I did a year abroad. I had some fun. I like cultured myself. And
did you go to all the different cities, or were you mainly based in?
It was like an exchange program with a family. So I lived with a family for a year, which genuinely is till date like one of the most memorable years of my life. And I documented everything. Like they would always be like, what are you doing with all these videos? And I'm just like, I don't know. I still don't know. I haven't seen any of them yet.
You have them somewhere on a hard drive?
Some hard disk.
That's cool.
And then I came back and I did my undergrad, which was in journalism. And the more I did it, the more I was just like, I hate this. I hate this so much, because you realize how much everything is censored and there's no freedom of speech. At least in India, in journalism, a lot of it is censored, and there's a lot of. So I kind of was like, this isn't really what I want to do. But I did a documentary then, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, this is probably what I want to do. Cool. And then I was like, let's make documentaries. Then I came to London, to the London Film School.
Nice.
And so as you know, like we have like the 6 terms where we do different things, and you can kind of get into everything. So term 3 was the documentary, but term 1 and 2 genuinely for me was when like everything made sense and came into place. Term 1, I DOP'd, and I was just introduced to this, and I was like, this is really fun and I'm really enjoying this. And then in term 2, you get to do all the 6 roles.
Yeah.
And so I got to compare immediately the feeling between the different jobs. And when I was directing, I was all alone. I was all isolated. And I kind of felt like this is just not what I want to do. And I was just drawn so much to the camera, and I just couldn't even deny it at this point. Like I was really into, the only photography that I still do is on film. I learned.
I see your website, which I'll post. I want to make sure, whatever access to information, IMDb or just your website or whatever, we'll post in at least the YouTube description, just so people can see and try and make, give you some awareness there. But yeah, your photography. I love the picture of the woman in the green dress on the scooter.
That was in Madrid.
That's a once in a lifetime picture.
Oh my God, it really was. So I only shoot on film, like photography stills. I have a digital camera, but I only use it for like recce's and stuff. So I was just like, okay, this is making sense. And I think this is what I need to do. Term 3, we made a documentary. I directed a documentary. I hated every minute of it. Just became this thing where I had to become a part of my documentary, and I just hated being in front of the camera and making it about myself. And
sometimes that happens. I think if like you're not really sure, it's kind of like, all right, well, I guess I can tell my story. Can I ask you, what was that documentary about? Just
so it was actually meant to be a documentary about how single parents move on and how they actually get into life and start dating, because I think that was something for me that was, because my father passed away when I was 5, and it was really confusing for me after that to just navigate like what's going on in my life and like things like that. And I wanted to do this documentary so I could just speak to different single parents who also kids who've grown up with single mothers and stuff, and just understand how they go through it and stuff. And then because I was not sure about the angle and stuff, like the school kind of pushed me, or like the professors pushed me to be in it, because they're like, it doesn't matter if you're not in it.
Right.
And I regretted it, but it was cathartic, if anything.
Yes. Yeah. For sure.
But I won't do it again.
Yeah.
But
you kind of get pushed a little bit when you're making the films at school, and you kind of have to make it work because the idea is that it will be screened and looked at by the industry professionals and the crits, and you want that. You know, that's why we went to go to the school, is to have some type of like, this is the work.
Yeah.
And, and then you kind of have to think about it doubly because it's not just something you can hide in a drawer,
Yeah. And when you're doing it, it's everything. Like when you're in film school, every single term that you're in is like, oh my God, this is my life. This is what I like.
Yeah. It's
and you
fully,
really want to perform.
Yeah. 3 months or however, even over the break, you'll be thinking about it. And you really, it's the word invested doesn't even begin to describe, I think, how involved people get into these films, just because everyone's looking at each other's work and wants to know. And for me, at least, there is some competitive nature to it, but it's also that you just care. You know what I mean? And so it's actually a really good mix, I think, that makes these films happen. Can I ask you, you said you made a documentary before LFS. What was that documentary about? I'm just curious, just as kind of what your interests are, as what you like to film.
Comically, it's about freedom of speech and the safety of journalists in India, which was a whole reason why I was like, I don't really think I want to do this.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much doing the filmmaking aspect of it, which was I was doing all of the camera work as well as the editing, and pretty much doing the sound as well. And then there were other people who were better at like maybe the directing, the finding the people, and we managed to get some of the biggest journalists in India, like just the biggest names, and to meet them, go to their houses and have conversations. And I just realized that I don't want to do this, but it was an amazing experience because we went to the capital city, and it was just 5 girls. It was really, really like a fun experience.
That sounds really cool, actually. Is it floating around on the internet anywhere?
It's somewhere. Huh. It's a private link.
Yeah,
somewhere.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think that's the trick, is like if anyone is interested in learning more, obviously there's pathways to get in touch with you and things like that on your website and stuff. So I mean, it's such a good way of exploring. Film can do that, right? It's just a great way to explore something without necessarily like you can like research it like as in depth as possible, and then kind of make a decision in the post-production, like, I don't know if I want to do this for a career. That's really smart. Okay, cool. So I don't know. Is there any other anecdotes just from your time at LFS? We did kind of discussed up until term 3. It'd be nice to just continue to discuss, because I do want to touch on some of the big grad films you did, Passerby and Thread Tension, and maybe anything else you'd like to discuss. But you're doing a good job of kind of going through
giving
things.
The timeline.
It's great. It's great.
So term 4, I was like, okay, I know I want to do cinematography, and I don't think I pitched for DOP, but I was like, I'm going to do all the films. I'm just going to find a way, because there were like each term, there's like 6 films getting made simultaneously, or 5 films. I was like, I'm going to find a way to just make it work and do all of them. And I did. So I was working nonstop for like a month and a half, like every week on a different shoot. And I sparked. I did some terms above and below as well. So I sparked, I gaffered, I camera upped. The first time I pulled focus was on 35 millimeter black and white, which was a lovely experience. And so yeah, I just did as much as I could in that term, because that term was just like a deep dive into everything I possibly can do. And then I logically wanted to DOP in term 5. I don't know what happened last minute. I sort of went to choose a friend's film rather than choosing to DOP, because I didn't really like the scripts that were going out. And I was just like, I'd much rather like be with a group of friends that I want to, spend this 3 months with. And I did production design.
Nice.
I am so glad I did that.
Yeah.
Because I learned so much that term doing production design, because it just has transformed the way I work with my cinematography as well, because it just really, my approach to it as well was as a DOP doing PD rather than a production designer, because I was just like, how can I take this space and like manipulate it to feel a certain kind of way, to give a feeling? Because I made a prison and a bedroom, and a young girl's bedroom, which is like really contrasted spaces. So I embedded so much into that with color and all of these things, that it just really taught me so much about, gray or blue gray in 56 Kelvin and 32 Kelvin, and like how different that even space could look.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there was bruises that we did makeup for, and then sort of working with that and understanding that, like, the cooler your white balance gets as well, the bruises start turning like orangey. It's really interesting, because cool. I wasn't even like really thinking about it. It starts turning like purplish, like not in a natural way. So I learned a lot doing that. And then unfortunately COVID hit, right? Like as soon as we finished it, it was like we went into, when was it?
That's term 5.
Yeah.
Term 5 finished in COVID, yeah.
Term 5 finished March of 2020, and COVID's like lockdown started 15th of March or something. So it was just really crazy timing. And a lot of my closest friends are all the Chinese students that we had, and they left like 2 weeks in. They just all flew back to their own home countries. Everyone, basically. I think there still is probably like, I want to say like 10-15% of the class that I was in, the cohort that I was in, that actually stayed back. Everyone else left, like all of my friends. I didn't get to say goodbye to them. It was just bad timing. And I was like, oh my God, this was supposed to be the time that I was going to DOP. Now no one's going to know that I'm a DOP, and no one's going to make me DOP their grads. And I didn't DOP even one of the grad films. Oh, no, I did. Bona Vacantia. And I was meant to do another one that fell through quite comically, but we won't get into that. But I did Bona Vacantia with Sheza, which was, again, during COVID. And that was my first time. Oh, no, actually, I did a film before Bona Vacantia, which, funnily enough, was a term 5 film, but I did it as I was in term 6.
Nice.
So the good things that came out of COVID, I guess not good things, but like somebody from the cohort below me who was supposed to DOP this film called The Vagina Musical, which is iconic. I saw that on IMDb. I love it. Still one of my favorite films I've ever done. Happened to go back to the US, and the director of the film, Abby Quinlan, who is amazing, she was like, I need a woman to DOP this. It's like obvious. And there was no one in that cohort who actually wanted to do it. So then I landed up doing it. And it was so fun because we did a musical during lockdown. So, like social distancing and everything was like full on. That was probably like the first films that we made during COVID and everything. And that was an amazing experience. I really, really like to make your first film as a DOP. Like I would say that's the first one because that's like the first one I actually like in full with a big cinema camera.
And that was the term 5 film, and you were in term 6. Cool.
So I got lucky because I didn't do it. I didn't DOP in
That's
term
cool.
5, but then I did.
Yeah, that's great. Can I ask you, what's that film about?
So the Vagina Musical is about a woman who has a traumatic experience in her past, and she refuses to face it until one night her vagina comes to life and takes her through this night, but with song and dance and, you know, reenacting the whole situation to just make her come to terms with something that's happened. And then, you know, just about womanhood and, you know, uplifting each other through it was just like such a beautiful experience, genuinely. It was like it was a very sensitive topic to deal with, which was probably triggering to a lot of women, unfortunately, who were on the crew, like the actors as well as the crew. And then we had some amazing men as well on shoot who were just like lovely to, you know, they also were just so reflective about what was being made. And,
cool.
You know, so it was just a really...
That's awesome.
Important film, yeah.
That's amazing. It sounds like lots of challenges, like kind of getting in from term 6 to DP it, and then the COVID, having to work through COVID. Good Lord, that's like such a major thing to deal with, especially with crews, tight-knit crews.
Yeah.
Where did you shoot it? Did you shoot it at the studio B or
the
D?
mill? Because I
mill.
think we couldn't. I think there was like a limited thing with LFS could like go inside, but yeah.
Can I ask you, sorry, just to update. So term 4 is 10-minute black and white films.
Yeah.
And term 5 is color 10 to 15 minute films, just for the audience to kind of get their head around for what we're talking about with this. Okay, cool. So you complete that film, and it sounds like that's like got your confidence up, you know, as far as like, well, cool, now I've DP'd some stuff. Can you tell me a little bit about, you mentioned Bonavantia.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that story? What drew you to it? Because that is an interesting film that I've seen and I really enjoyed. There's the trailer is really cool. Like, tell me a little bit more about that film.
So Bonavantia is about a woman who's a social care worker who, this actually exists. Their jobs are to basically go into the homes of people who have died, who have no known relatives, and basically just take care of all of their things, like pack them up, maybe donate them and stuff, and just make sure that they can just clean up and tidy up after people who sort of have no one. So, and this social care worker, who's the protagonist of this film, was a woman who was displaced during war from India, migrated into the UK, doesn't know much about her childhood, and she has her own little quirks. She tends to collect things from everyone's houses, like things that she feels like that resonates with her, like a little piece of a story that she picks up from these houses, and she struggles to sleep because of her constant own fear of dying, and she constantly is afraid of death, and, you know, trying to deal with all of these different layers of her own. And then she actually experiences a near-death situation, and how that just puts things into perspective for her. But so Bona is a really important story for me still, because it has so many themes that I really resonate with. One is like my rampant fear of dying. I'm a hypochondriac, and like I'm the kind of person who's like Googling if I have a common cold, I'm like, am I going to die?
You gotta know, you know, you can't just let this stuff fly into the ether. I get it.
So and Bona as well, we had so many challenges with the film. We started to film it, and then day 2, was it day 2 or was it actually day 2 of filming, one of our crew members, who shall not be named, on the podcast, got COVID because he went for a super spreader party that was actually happening from your cohort, because your cohort had just started back then.
Oh my God.
And you guys were like, yay, we're in film school.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have I don't know if it's your cohort or if it's like
205.
I can't remember the numbers anymore. But
it was probably 1 or 2.
It was. Did you start after, like, immediately after COVID?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was the one that was like the first one after COVID.
Our first 2 terms were online, so there was a little bit of hanging out. But yeah, there was probably a party or 2.
It was like a super spreader, and then somebody got sick, and then we had to cancel the shoot. Luckily, I think actually LFS really helped us out with that one. They because we lost a lot of money, and they really helped us because they pulled like some things with insurance and managed to. So we had to pick the shoot back up after like 5 months or something in the same locations, making sure everyone's availabilities match and stuff. So that was really such a painful thing for my poor director Shahzad, who's also lovely. We have a very similar background. We've actually happened to come from the same, our families come from the same town of Kerala. And then she grew up in Dubai and I grew up in Mumbai. But like I adore her. She's just a lovely person to work with. She's such a go-getter. She actually produced the film while she was directing it as well, which was just a nightmare. But she's a strong woman and she did it. And the Bona was actually, I think, the film that has got seen the most still, I would say, because it got picked up to a lot of festivals and it's even on Alaska Air.
Wow.
If you're ever flying.
That's cool.
I don't know if it's still there, but it was.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Nizah, so I've got such a nice idea of a couple of the projects you worked out on London Film School and your background and just kind of the journey you take to kind of get to being a cinematographer. So can I ask you, DP'd were cinematographer for some remarkable grad films, Passerby and Thread Tension, two of them. I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about Thread Tension. Tell me a little bit about working with Ruby on that film, and just like I would just like to hear, because it's about you shot this film in 2023. 2022.
End of 2022.
And I'd just love to hear kind of now looking back on it, just like kind of your thoughts on it.
Wait, end of 2021 or 2022? Wow. I can't even remember.
It's got to be 2022. I don't.
Yeah. Sorry, 2022.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it at a Crits at some point.
We're in 2025. I keep forgetting.
Yes. Yeah, now. Just would love to hear more. Maybe give a little idea for the story if you wish, just so we can have the audience kind of follow you along. And yeah.
So Thread Tension is a film about, it's the lead protagonist who works in a sewing factory. It's meant to be ambiguous in terms of when it's set, but there is an inclination that it could be, like in the late 70s, 80s, like ambiguous. Also ambiguous if this actually happened or not. But it's about these women who work in the sewing factory and how they're overworked and underpaid, and pretty much reflecting sort of what happens even now in some of the like sweatshops and things like that, and just like fast fashion industries. And pretty much how they start showing these signs of fits and abnormal or maybe paranormal seizures and episodes that they're all breaking out into, and how they sort of have to suppress them because otherwise they're going to lose their jobs. And but it basically follows these three women over a period of like maybe a week, and sort of them working and dealing with something like that. Yeah.
Cool. What was it like working on that film, kind of preparing things? I'd love to hear a little bit about maybe kind of like how you guys developed like either storyboards or kind of how you visualized things. I'd love to just hear like a little bit more about kind of any particular kind of part that maybe stuck out to you, or that was challenging or was fun, or I'd love to just hear like a little bit more about. So
this was the first horror film that I actually filmed. And it was such an exciting change for me, because I'd done a couple of dramas and I was just getting into this. And I really wanted to, I still love diversifying myself, just doing different kinds of films and stuff. And it just keeps me going. So I met Ruby, and she was specifically also looking for a female DOP, because she's like, this is a very female-oriented film and I want to work with the female DOP. And she just sent me an email one day and I saw it, and I immediately she sent me a mood board of the project, and I just was immediately enthralled. She has such a strong style, Ruby. She's quirky, she loves horror, and she loves these kinds of thriller, horror-esque, paranoid films. And when I saw the mood board already, there was so much embedded into the style and so much thought that was already put into it. The script was almost perfect at this point already as well. So I was just immediately like, yeah, this is fun and I want to do it. And so, like, I also in 2020-ish, like when lockdown happened, I started sewing because I was like picking up every hobby that I could. And I also decided to like stop shopping fast fashion and things like that. Like a lot of the stuff that I have is all thrifted, you know, vintage shops and everything. So this was really something that I felt really passionate about. And it was not just about fast fashion. It was just like women in general industries being suppressed and, you know, pushing when you kind of are against this hard wall. So I was really captivated from and you know, we had talks about it initially because she had left it very open. She had ideas about how it was meant to feel, but nothing too specific. And, oh, I want us to do this like one shot that does this to that, which it really encouraged me to then give her ideas and give her options and tell her like, you know, maybe we can do a lot of this handheld, but like some of it we can make it feel handheld but not being handheld. And which I later regretted at one point because I was like, because there were 3 handheld shots that I had to do walking backwards, and by the end of it, and I had this easy rig and everything, but by the end of it I just wanted to get everything off. I just wanted to get everything off and just when you get so into the camera that, you know, especially when you're doing handheld, you become one with the camera. You just want to, you know, the separation between you and the mechanics of what's happening is just not there because it's only just your eyes and then this like armor that you have. And so by the end of it, we literally, like the last day, I was just like, I'm just going to freestyle this. I just took the easy rig off and I like was on my knees and we got the whole finale sequence and stuff. Like it was pretty much just handheld, me just like chaotically moving around. And that was a really fun, different experience, shooting outdoors in the winter with not much sunlight and, you know, shooting big like streets, not just you know, small indoor situations. So and also the indoor space that we had was just this massive like community space as well. So to light that was just fun. And, you know, my first time actually doing something to the scale like that was just like getting big space to light. Lots of actors, like 20 extras, and, you know, so I think that was a challenge for that, but I think it was really, really fun to put together. And funnily, you mentioned Pablo in the beginning. Pablo and I have a little bit of like we were in the same cohort together, and so I've learned heaps from Pablo. He's just genuinely like such a good friend. And we like, whenever we're like, you know, feeling down about things like I'm going nowhere in my career and stuff, like we'll always message each other and stuff. And I love that I have that in him. And we had this fun thing where I gaffered, like, I think, was that the only one? I think I did 2 films of his. I can't even remember at this point. And he did Threat Tension. He gaffered Threat Tension, and did he do the whole thing? I'm not sure, but like we had this thing where we like have worked together a lot, like in different roles and stuff. And so that was really fun to even have that collaboration. Like there's some people in LFS that I've worked with that I'm just like, I'm going to work with these people for the rest of my life. I've just have such a good communication with them. Sahil's gaffered a lot of he did Bona Vacantia before the COVID break. And then he did, he was on the Vagina Musical as a Spark. Cool. So yeah, we've had like a lot of crossovers with, you know, LFS people, which I love.
Absolutely. No, that sounds, I mean, I love the tone of Thread Tension. Like it's got this like, kind of this psychological kind of thriller aspect to it, kind of enmeshed in it, and I really enjoyed that. Maybe we can talk a little bit about Passerby, another film that you shot in Hungary.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about working with Ben and just like again, like kind of the what the conception was of it a little bit, and this was shot on film. I think I'd love for you to talk about this, and then I'd love for you to talk about a little bit about maybe your love for film.
Oh my God, I knew you were going that. I was like, yes.
Maybe after that, or we can kind of roll it together or something like that. But yeah, talk a little bit about that film. I see a smile on your face, so it sounds like you have.
For me, I think Passerby, I had done these films. At this point, I think I'd done like DOP'd 5 or 6 films. And I was like, I love with such a, like, some people tell me that they hate the films that they've made after they make them, which is really sad because I love them. Like, it's not come from a place of being like vain or anything. Like, I genuinely, when I watched my films, after there's been a little bit of a break, when I watch them, it reminds me so much of all of the hard work I put in. I now sometimes even watch films that I made when I was like 15, 16, and it's funny, but like it shows you progress, it shows you growth. And I'm really proud of like everything because I feel like it gets you, even if it's like minuscule, like even if it's a bad shoot, it just helps you get somewhere. And so I'd done all these films and I was like, I love them so much, but none of them feel me, when people graduate or like are graduating, the whole graduation project or film is about making a film that's you. That's an introduction to, this is me, putting myself out there as like a baby in the industry, but this is who I am. This is the kind of films I want to make. This is the kind of stories. And I just felt like I didn't have that because I didn't obviously direct a grad film. I just didn't have that one film that I was like, this is me, my style, who I am in a nutcase. And so Benjamin Sivo, amazing. I like, again, one of my favorite. I love all of the people I've collaborated with, but everyone's special. So Benjamin was editing Threat Tension, and Ruby was very passionate about the whole. She's such a good leader because she really makes sure that everyone can work together well, and so it was really important to her that me and Ben had our own meeting and met and just DOP and editor, which I don't think I would have done otherwise. But like, meeting the editor and just like without her even, and just like having a chat about what we're thinking and if there's anything that he wants me to get for him or like cutaways or anything.
Cool.
So my first meeting with Benjamin, I remember we met at this coffee shop in Bethnal Green, and he's this little shy and awkward and very soft-spoken, and he was putting all these points across. But I remember even then being like, wow, like I've never had this conversation with an editor, and the fact that as an editor, you're not just like, okay, just dump all your rushes on me and I'll just make something. He was so into it already from like the conception of the script and everything. And so that's when Benjamin and I worked together for the first time. And then when he was making his grad film, he sent me a message being like, I'm making this film. I just want you to read the script and like tell me what you think. And obviously we worked together on Ruby's film, and I really love how you work, and I think we'd be really good if we did this together. And I read the script and I didn't even need anything else. I was like, I'm in. I'm in because so Passerby is about a boy dealing with grief, and it's just how children deal with grief and how people deal with grief in general, and him dealing with the grief that his parents are dealing with. And obviously, because I just said like my father passed away when I was 5, this is again a really personal story for me, because I remember being young and being like, I'm completely aware of everything that's going on around me, but everyone's pretending like I don't know what's going on. So I really resonated a lot with the story and the theme. And like halfway through the meeting, he says, oh yeah, and I also want to shoot this on film. And I was like, why didn't you start with that? But I mean, I'm already in. But
cool.
I absolutely love the format. I love shooting on film. I've always loved shooting on film, even though it is very daunting, and I still am far more anxious on a shoot that's analog than not so much anymore, but still, yes, initially it's frightening because you don't have a monitor, you don't have a good reliable monitor. And even in the end of the day, even if your monitoring is great, like film is still film, there's so much that can go wrong. And so that was very daunting initially, but it was such an interesting experience. I don't think I ever have made a film like that. So Ben thought it was important that him and I go to Hungary together. I think we went 2 weeks before the shoot actually started, and we were just there. And so we shot Passerby in his family house that they have in the countryside. They have another apartment in the city, but they have this house in the countryside, which is just this really cute, quaint town in the middle of nowhere. But it's just beautiful, and it was sort of still winter going into spring in Hungary. My first time going to Hungary was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And we just were the luxury of being able to be in the space for a week was just incredible. So Ben would be doing a lot of the producing sort of things, like, getting things around, getting the catering during the day. And I would literally just be walking around each room and just literally tracking, okay, at 12 o'clock, the sun moves from there to there, to there, to there. And I had the luxury to be able to do that. So I actually thought, why don't I just work with this if I'm actually able to, study the light so much in this space. So by the day of the shoot, I was like, I know this is my space. Like, this is like, so I was able to do a lot with the film.
That's super cool. That sounds like, you kind of had some great preparation. Can I ask you a little bit about, like, is there did you buy the 16 millimeter film in Hungary, or like what was the process of, like, did you rent the cameras from the city and then bring them to his home? And like, what about crew? Like, was that crew sourced from were there a lot of LFS people coming in? I'm curious.
So our producer was Anastasia, who's
Savanova.
Yeah. She's a go-getter. She is genuinely one of the best producers I've worked with. She's frightening, but at the same time, like, she's such a motherly, like, energy that, having her around, you feel safe because she's thought about you. She's thought about every single thing. So she was incredible to be able to even get this done. But we had a producer in Hungary who helped us, source crew and things like that. There was a conversation about taking the camera from the UK to Hungary, but obviously that didn't happen because you need a carnet, like a kind of like a passport for the equipment, or like not like a license for the equipment to move around, and which was really expensive and would be crazy. And shooting on 16 millimeters is obviously so difficult, especially in places like Hungary where it's just not the norm. I think there was like 2 16 millimeter cameras in all of Hungary, maybe 3, but yeah, we got one of those.
Great.
And it was tricky with the crew. It's also really expensive. Also, Hungarian money is like in the 100,000s, so it was so confusing for me to understand how everything was priced and to get my kit in order. But then they linked us up with this amazing gaffer called Lassi, who's based in Hungary. He's the most kindest, politest, loveliest people. And working with him was such a dream, because it is tricky to find people in Hungary who can speak English comfortably.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he just had this energy where he just wanted to learn, and he just wanted to give everything that he could, to make this film happen, which for me meant a lot to have that kind of support. And
Lassi?
Lassi.
That's a great
Lassi,
name.
Laszlo, his full name. But he keeps telling me, if you have anything in London, please call me. And I was like, yeah, I will. But
did he go to a film school in Hungary, or how is he just like, he works in the industry in Hungary?
So I don't think he went to any film school. He was asking me about it, and I said, like, you already have your foot in the door. He was already gaffing at this point, so I was like, you don't really need to go to film school. You learn on the job. And Hungary surprisingly has a massive film industry. Like a lot of, like, I think the Halo film series that they're filming was like happening in Hungary and stuff. So and there's a lot of studios and stuff in Budapest. I think Poor Things was shot in Budapest.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff happening in Hungary. So the crews there are actually very well equipped, except that it's like you'll find it's very expensive to find people who are comfortable working with English and foreign crews and stuff like that. But we just got really lucky. We didn't really have a proper AD, which was the hardest part of the whole thing. Anastasia really had to do a lot, and had amazing collaborations with Lulu, who is the production designer, and she really transformed the whole space. Ruby, who was doing sound, and obviously Benjamin. I think we had like a really nice crew. At least like the HODs were really nice. So those are the only people that came from London. And I brought my first AC and second AC from London as well.
Oh, great.
Because I was just like finding somebody who works with comfortably in 16mm.
Who were they?
So my first AC is Lydia. She's amazing. She stepped up into first ACing last year, and she's genuinely fantastic. I met her through another shoot that I was on with a mentor called Mark Nutkins, and she does a lot of work with him. And my second AC was Joy Chow, and she's an amazing loader. She's so meticulous. I mean, she's not a loader, she's a documentary director, but she enjoys camera a lot, cinematography a lot. So she was really like really careful with the film. And Lydia, I just felt so like carefree with, you know, when you have a really strong team, you sort of can just lay back and just do your job.
Focus on the kind of the creative aspect, if you will, and just fine-tuning the things that a DP does, as opposed to worrying about things that the AC should really be worrying about, you know, and really working with the director to like achieve like a unified vision, which is what you did with Passerby. You know, it's a really beautiful film. I don't have the film festivals that it entered, but I know that it has made several festivals. And
it hasn't made that many yet, because it's like still going. So we got into the Vilmos Zsigmond Film Festival, which is Hungary's biggest cinematography film festival, which is, I kind of think it was one of the biggest ones for us, because it always was such a cinematography important film, because there's like very little dialogue in the film. And for Ben as well, a lot of it was creating this ambient space. So I think going to that festival was big for Ben, and he went, and it was amazing.
Cool.
So yeah, and hopefully this year it's gonna see a lot more, because I just genuinely think the film deserves to be seen.
I think so, and just with Thread Tension, it won Best Cinematography at the British Indie Film Festival. So you've got some nice awards, and it sounds like a really nice step up. It's amazing with LFS, these grad films, how well they do. You know, it's pretty special, and so I mean, these are all things that help bolster the career and get the career going. You know, it's just stuff you have to have in your back pocket.
No, for sure.
So that's like a great summation of some of the grad films. I know you've done others, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the future and maybe current projects. Also about like paid work. You know, I mean, now that we're out of school, we're all kind of very anxious to make some money and put to use and make some money based off the skills we've learned from school. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Tell me a little bit about some of the projects that you've worked on, maybe some paid stuff, or just we were talking about Ambushed. Maybe you'd be interested in talking a little bit about that, because it sounds like, but you said your bread and butter.
Yeah.
And then maybe about any upcoming projects, and maybe like your dream, like what's the dream? Because and I'd also love to talk, if you don't mind, about your collaboration with James Friend as a mentor. I was lucky enough to have a Q&A with him at school, which was really one of the most memorable things from LFS for me, and just it was so nice to have so many people in the crowd, and he was just telling so many great stories about coming up, being an LFS student at one point, and his journey. So I know that you two are close. So I know it's a lot, but maybe we can kind of go through it piece by piece. But it would be a great kind of ending to this podcast, you know.
So life post LFS is like any film school, I would imagine, at this day and age, is just, it's not a happy place. Because let's be honest, I know maybe like no one, actually. I'm going to think about it. Like, do I know anyone who's working full time in the industry right now? At least from my cohort, no one's working full time. But yeah, it is really daunting, because you know you when you're in LFS, you're so busy, and you become so used to being so busy and having your life so full, not having your weekends, because you know you're making films and it's such an exciting time, and then you finish and it's radio silence, you know. And it's terrifying, because you're just like, where do I start? Because you have all these ideas of things you can possibly do, and you keep going, and every door and window and everything just keeps closing on you, and it's just really frightening. So it still is. Like, I feel like I explain this to people now, and I'm like, so it's basically like being unemployed all the time, and you're constantly looking for work and constantly looking to, you know, build yourself up in your career. And so I went through the whole cycles of grief when it comes to this, and I think I finally feel like I've come to to the other side of it. So I'll get into it a little bit. So I think my first job like kind of out of film school was in 2020 when I was like, what am I going to do? I went on to Mandy and I found this job that was looking for a director's assistant / AD or something, some ambiguous job. And I was like, well, oh no, it was script supervising.
Okay.
And it was for a Bollywood film. And I swore I wouldn't really do Bollywood, but like Bollywood. But then my mom always says you attract what you reject. And I did. And that was the first feature film that I ever did. It was a pretty decently big feature film. The whole crew was British because it was during lockdown. But I kind of feel like I learned a lot just observing people. And I was pretty much just like a fly on the wall all the time. But I learned a lot through that experience. After which I've done many short films, professional, like in like paid jobs, as like assisting, like second, first, AC, sparking, done like commercial, things like that, just like things. And I remember, I think this is like 2023, where I was terrified because I was speaking to people and they're like, you need to pick. Yeah. You need to choose if you want to do lighting or if you want to do camera, because you don't want to go on a job and be like, you know, you were on, like, be like, oh yeah, I was like sparking, and they're like, why are you in camera now? Because that just doesn't work in this industry. So there's something that works in India, which is there's a role called the first AC in India, but that's not what you think it is. You're not a focus puller. What you are actually is an assistant to the DOP. And you're sort of like something between being a gaffer and something like being the assistant to the whole department, something like a central loader, where you're kind of like doing like admin / organizing managerial jobs between lighting and cinematography. It doesn't exist in the UK.
Sounds kind of like something that would like be maybe a good in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it sounds kind of like positive, you know, that you're kind of, it sounds hands-on, but also you're meeting everybody.
Yeah. It's like you're kind of shadowing the DOP, but at the same time you have an actual job on set. So this exists in India, but it doesn't exist here, because in the UK, the way I've been told is either you just DOP and just DOP and DOP and DOP and DOP, and eventually you'll get up to the pedestal, or you sort of go through the ranks, you trainee, you know, do second, like you first, second, whatever, get up, operate, and then you become a DOP. Because there is no, and those are just the two avenues that I've been told that just exist in the UK. And obviously if you want to just DOP, you have to have the backing of, you know, having support from your family, or like just sitting on a lump of cash that it's okay that you can just afford to wait around for like the projects that come to you, because it takes a lot of time, you know, to you know, to make a film, to see it from, you know, going into it, talking about the film, and from you actually being able to reap benefits off of it is probably like a 3-year process, you know. After the festivals actually happen, getting the recognition, all of that actually takes a lot of time. So, you know, building your career as just DOPing, for me, as I imagine it, is something that is going to take me a lot of time, you know. But in the meanwhile, I'm so excited and so happy to work with my friends, with colleagues, with people who I look up to, with, you know, people I've worked with at LFS who are a couple of stages above me, people who I really look up to, like Piero. He's always been
Piero
Chaffee. He was, you know, he is a great DOP, but he also works at LFS as, you know, guides us through with the equipment and things like that. So he's been amazing to, you know, have as somebody I look up to. And, you know, having people like that in LFS also, I really look up to some of the DOPs like E.T., Zenya. I really just love the work that they do. And, you know, something that I have learned on my own is you need to have many mentors, and mentors at different stages of their career as well. So have a mentor who's the same stage as you would imagine that you are right now. And for me, someone like Pablo is that, who's at the same stage, similar stage, you know, maybe a foot ahead or behind.
This is Pablo Garrido Carreras, who actually will be on the will be featured on the podcast pretty soon. We spoke quite a while ago, and he's based in Madrid, but very, very good guy, and very, very talented cinematographer as well.
So I feel like Pablo is somebody for me that I feel like is in my space. He's in my corner, and he's a good mentor for me because I learned so much from him. And you know, sometimes I'll do a shoot and he'd be like, "Oh, that was so cool. Tell me about it." And you know, we'll discuss it. Then you need to have a mentor who is like maybe a couple steps above you, like, you know, maybe 3 years, 4 years ahead of what you probably will be. And for me, that's like E.T., Zanya, you know, Piero. Having, you know, these kinds of people, I feel like I look up to them, and also just like I feel like it's so fascinating to see where they are in their careers, just doing their first features and things like that. And then to have a mentor who's above them, who for me is Mark Nutkins. I applied for the Screen Skills mentoring program, and I found Mark Nutkins, who was a first AC for I think 15 years, and then he suddenly was like, I want a DOP. And I think when I got him as a mentor, he had just about done a couple shorts. And then it was exciting because then he did his first Disney show as a DOP.
Wow.
And I think was doing like Bridgerton second unit stuff and things like that. So having him as well, being like, wow, like that's, you know, he gave me practical ways of achieving my goals as well. Because I feel like everyone gives you these arbitrary things like, yeah, like get in touch with people and blah, blah, blah. But he was like, you know, no, make a list of all the people that you possibly know, who you want to get in touch with, what kind of jobs you want to do, you know, the path you want to go. If you want to get into lighting, like make a list of all the gaffers that you know and like, you know, start talking to them. So that was a really interesting experience. And then of course there's James. And I met James at a pre-light for Vagina Musical. So James was an alumni at LFS. He was leading the education department at the BSc, which he's a part of. And he is really like, he's really young. He's like maybe now, he's probably 40 now or like 39. Really, really young. And so he just wanted to, I don't even know what he was doing that day. He just was like, yeah, I think just came to LFS to do the one and only pre-light he's ever done. Happened to be the pre-light that I was gaffering.
Great.
I just got really lucky with that. But I was simultaneously also shooting the Vagina Musical. So I was like, okay, forget this film. I want to talk to you about my film. Yeah. And I'm making this film. It's about this, like, you know, this vagina. And we're going to create this thing. And I just had a long chat with him during lunch about all these things. And he's like, oh, okay. I mean, are you going to shoot with these lenses that the school gives you? I was like, yeah, I don't really have a choice. But, you know, I'm going to maybe get some filters and stuff. I've been speaking to somebody at Tiffin. And he's like, why don't you just take my lenses? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, I have a set of Tribe 7 lenses. You know, and I was like, yeah, the Blackwing Tribe 7 lenses, the Bradford Young's lenses. And he's just like, yeah, I have a set of them. Just like, why don't you just take them? And I was like, you don't even know me. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He's just so random as well. And I was just like, he's like, I don't know. He's like, you have that twinkle in your eye that I felt like I had when I was really young. And I don't know, you seem like you're trustable, are you not? And I was like, okay. So then I sort of stuck onto him, and you know, I was just like amazed that somebody would do something so generous. And he's lived by the promise. I shot on the Tribe 7 lenses, which was also beautiful. And I actually reached out to Tribe 7, or they found us or something, and like I even emailed the founders of Tribe 7, which was really lovely. Neil, who is the co-founder.
Wow, that's
I emailed him, which was like a really lovely thing. That's very cool. I just stuck on with James. I wouldn't like.
He used those lenses on I think many of the films that he's worked on. Yeah,
he uses a combination of so many different lenses that it's never like one. I mean, sometimes it is just one set of.
I'm almost positive he talked about using them on All Quiet on the Western Front.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, that's so cool. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
So, yeah, so I just would email him before I did a film being like, hey, I'm going to be doing this film. I just want to know, like, you know, I just wanted your blessings. And, you know, not like I was really mindful to be, I don't know, I would overthink it so much. I'm just like, why would this like person who's just like, you know, making these amazing films want to talk to me? This was like pre All Quiet and stuff. So I was still like mindful of the fact that he was, you know, significantly big DOP doing stuff. For me at that point, it was just like, you're a working professional in the UK. That's enough for me. I don't really, and you have so much experience. And then I remember he actually was like, he called me back on, so the Alexa 35 had come out, and James was one of the few DOPs who actually helped develop the camera with Ari.
Really?
And Ari called him back and was like, we want you to just make something fun, you know, trying to test the capabilities of the camera. And he emailed me and he's like, oh, I'm having this little shoot, but do you want to come as just like a trainee? Or like work experience. And I was like, I'll do it, anything. So he shot this underwater little short film, but it was meant to be underwater, in the sky, and on land, kind of like trying to see how far we could push the Alexa. A beautiful camera. And I was like one of the first, like, I don't know, maybe 100, 300, 500 people to like see and touch the camera, which I was so excited about. So we did that together, and that was the first time I actually got to see him on a set. It was such an interesting experience, because you would think that, you know, somebody who's at that stage is like, just be so confident and just like command like the whole set. But he was actually a bag of nerves, and he was so stressed out, and he was so nervous. And I remember during lunchtime, he was like, how do you think that went? Do you think that was good? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, it was amazing. It looks beautiful. And he was like, yeah. He's like, you know, you would think it gets better. It does not. He's like, you know, the apprehension you feel at the end of the day, or like, you know, the beginning of a shoot, it doesn't get better. And especially the camera at that time was being very temperamental and things like that. And, you know, when you have a big company like Ari, like trying to have these expectations from
pressure.
You. Yeah, it was.
At all levels, you know, it doesn't clear up. That's an important thing, I think, maybe to note is the apprehension is a great word for it too. That's exactly.
And then you're throwing this camera underwater in housing that is like probably not for a camera. Like this camera's never been in underwater.
So new that it's like there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah. And that was really amazing to see him work in action, and like I got to be at the Pinewood underwater stage for the first time. That was really fun. And James just kept saying, like, I just want you to come, like, you know, just learn from me, just like drain every bit of information that you can take out of me. You know, he's like, use, you know, me to be able to, as much as you can, you know, just keep taking whatever you can. And then right off, like, I remember he showed me the trailer of All Quiet on the Western Front, because it just came in at that time. Wow. And I was like, this is insane. And he'd been out in Prague the year before that, just filming this for all of winter. And it sounded like a nightmare to do. And he was like, I'd have loved to have you there. But, you know, I just had 3 people, his camera operator.
Really?
And yeah, he only took like 3-4 people out there, because you know, you usually, even if it's a big production, you can't really take that much of your own crew, because it's just complicated. So he has his camera operator who he always works with, Danny Bishop, who's just this really, really lovely guy, really family guy. He's just been his operator his whole life. And so he did All Quiet on the Western Front, and then he messages me like a few months later being like, I'm doing something big. I can't really talk about it, but do you want to come and trainee on it? And I was like, yeah, 100%. He's like, it's Star Wars. And I was like,
wow.
Is this like real? Like,
so great. What a great experience.
But I didn't get to do it,
right?
Unfortunately, because it's a Disney production. It was The Acolyte, which is like a Star Wars show. And Disney has certain protocol in terms of getting trainees on. It has to go through like a Disney mentorship scheme and blah, blah, blah.
Damn.
So I couldn't do that.
Can you tell me a little bit more about any other types of work? I mean, this James Friend collaboration, I mean, it sounds like that's been very enriching. And it sounds like he's continuing to tap into you for different projects and to include you. I mean, that's incredible. Like, I mean, it shows that you're someone who's approachable and interested in learning, and he obviously sees that. That's like so cool. So my question is can you tell me about any other types of jobs? Again, I don't know why Ambushed kind of interests me. It just seems like it's something that's been very kind of valuable to you as part of kind of getting out of school, and then also again just like future projects that you're more involved in, or just things like, I think you had a really great question for him about like dream collaborations or something like that. Maybe I'll point that one back. You had some question in the James Friend Q&A. It was a very good question. Like, I think it was like he wanted, and then I think his response was to do a Bond movie.
Yeah.
Which is
It's
such a good answer.
I really wanted to do it still. He's obsessed. I have never met anyone who's that obsessed with James Bond.
Yeah.
I remember he made me order, because he wanted to order himself like a limited edition James Bond snow globe.
Cool.
He's obsessed with James Bond. So
That's so
I really
cool.
hope he still gets to do it. I don't know.
For sure. I
yet,
could totally
but-
see it. I
Yeah.
think his style fits with like
Absolutely, yeah.
a Bond kind of vibe for sure. Like I
Yeah.
mean, I just could see that happening. I'm sure it will. I mean, he's
Yeah,
a young
no,
guy.
I really
So,
hope
I mean,
so.
the sky's the limit. But yeah.
Yeah. So Ambushed. So Ambushed is like, it started off as a boutique. It still is a boutique treatment making agency. And when Ambushed originally started off, it was just the founders, which was Pierre and Simbad, who were these Frenchmen. Pierre was kind of directing, doing his little things, and Simbad is like a writer. So they sort of started Ambushed in, I want to say like 2020, when at that time, like treatment making in general, like outsourcing it as like a whole company project thing was not really big. It was there, but it was not really like, hasn't, like now it's flushed out into a complete industry, I would imagine, and they're doing the best, which I'm really, really happy to have been a part of this journey. So I think Pablo told me that, oh, I've been working with this company and, you know, doing this thing like visual research and stuff, like maybe you want to hear about it. And simultaneously, funnily enough, they had emailed me, or like I saw an email through LFS. I think they emailed LFS being like, is there
Yes.
anyone trying to get in touch with Ambushed? And this was 2021? Yeah, early 2021 or 2022. You know, just getting out of graduating LFS. And I was kind of like, okay, this is a good time to start thinking about how I'm going to sustain myself, how I'm going to be able to actually stay back in the country, what I'm doing for jobs and stuff. And so I met with Pierre. I mean, I did a Zoom with Pierre. And he was like, yeah, you sound like you're on it. You're also a DOP, you know, we work with Pablo. And was anyone else at that time from LFS? No, I think it was just Pablo. And I think Pablo had just joined it as well, like maybe 3 months ago, again, through the same connection of LFS. And so this started off as like such a small company with like maybe 5 visual researchers and, you know, a couple of designers. Everyone works remote, and it's now grown into like a massive, you know, agency, one of the biggest in the industry. They're also one of the most expensive, but the best at what they do. Mm-hmm. I genuinely think that some of the work that, you know, we even come up with together, the designers and visual researchers, everyone together, is just phenomenal. Like, so what it basically is I work as a visual researcher, and to make that sound a bit more easy is, I always say it like this, it kind of makes it sound like lesser than it is, but what we do is make mood boards. And so, but mood boards for commercials, films, things on a bigger scale, mostly commercials, but we also do like films and other avenues. So my job is basically, we get a script that we work with an agency, like a director who's a part of an agency. Director gives us a script for, suppose Coca-Cola. I don't want to say Coca-Cola. I don't like Coca-Cola.
On or
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
X brand is making a commercial, and you know, they give us a script, and the director tells us the direction that they're planning on taking this film, like some ideas that they have for camera movements, things like that. And then it's our job to basically go into the depths of the internet and our archives and the archives that exist of ads, films, sometimes fine art as well, like, and kind of just like find images that resonate with what images that they're trying to create. And then ultimately we find these images, put these images onto a map, and then the designers take this and make them into these insane treatments. Like, I'll show you some of them once we're done, but They're just fantastic. And sometimes I'm like, I can barely even design my own website, and I don't even know how these designers in like 3 days are able to make these insane treatments. So they really bring the projects to life, and it's really exciting when the directors win these pitches and get to make these commercials, and then we get to see these commercials that we've sort of been a part of.
So cool.
So I've been with Ambush for really long now, and I work with them as a visual researcher, finding images. But my approach to it is kind of like a DOP approaches a project. I kind of be like, what's the aesthetic they're going for? Like, what's the style? What kind of movement? And it really has helped me develop my eye so much.
Yeah.
I'm constantly watching new commercials, new work out there. I'm like up to date with what's going on, the technical stuff, like what's in trend. So I really feel like it's been such an amazing side hustle.
Yeah.
Which has kind of in many ways become a main hustle sometimes because of, strikes and things like that, just like having a scarcity of work. But it's such a good extension to what I do, because it is sort of my job as well as a DOP. A lot of it is visual research. A lot of it is creating this scape of, ideas and images. So I think it's really helped me a lot in terms of that. And yeah, Ambush is a really great company to work in terms of the camaraderie and like the friendship that we all have within each other and designers. And everyone's remote. They've done like
That's amazing.
Yeah, everyone's remote. Everyone's like Portugal, Spain, the UK, everywhere around the world. So
cool.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like that's really interesting, because I think a lot of people kind of question what are the steps after film school.
Yeah.
It can be really tricky. So that's like such a great light into something that really is like lucrative and is actually really influencing a lot of these. It must be really cool, because I think a lot of the times, like, I think about films I want to make, and how do you make these pitch decks or these mood boards super attractive to investors, to people you're trying to production design. Everyone might look at that and get inspired by it, or might go, ooh, this looks a little bit like, I don't know if I'm understanding the visual kind of thing that this person is going for. Because I like to generate, right? Especially on a ground level, when you're doing independent work and maybe looking for funding, on Film Freeway or something like that, to kind of do the research, send it into these designers who then build these really beautiful mood boards that are really the kind of the hook for these commercials to say, listen, let's do this, let's shoot it. Seeing that whole process is like very, very important, because it's kind of like those first steps to making something, to realizing something. But it makes
such a difference, especially when you see how much of it is already there from the beginning. And we obviously have to keep like up to date with what's happening in the industry. So we've all been trained with Midjourney, which is like this AI software to be able to generate images. We don't use it as much.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Because everyone thinks, oh, AI, everything. But no, like a lot of people still resonate a lot more with organic images. So it is rare still that like directors are like, oh no, I only want to do this on AI. A lot of the times they just want to find organic images that match what they want. So, but we all are proficient with using different kind of AI softwares to be able to create images as well, which was also such a great skill set to have. Because you really realize like what you can do with, because it has helped me a lot with my own mood boards and things like that or storyboards and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I suck at drawing. I can't draw to save my life, but to be able to tell my ideas through images still, that kind of do the job.
It's a new tool, I think,
100%.
Is what people are trying to grapple with, and I see the backlash where it's taking, this idea of it's taking other artists' work and kind of combining it in some way. I understand it, and I understand that is a problem, especially when these artists aren't being paid. But I do think like in what I've heard, like there's the back and forth with that, and part of it is I think that it is a tool. It's not something that's going to take over. But
Definitely.
I understand that there's controversy over that. But that's very interesting to hear. It's very cool. Like just sounds like a great opportunity. And so yeah, I think from there, I think this is kind of like we're a little detached from the conversations we had, but I want to talk, before we talk about kind of final projects and things coming up, your love of film.
Yes.
And you told me earlier that you only like to do photography on film, as do I. I have a deep love of it, just for many, many reasons. I'll let you sound off on it. But you also shot Passerby on 16 mil, and it sounds like you have some other projects maybe that you've shot on film. I know you were doing an 8mm project, or you were incorporating some 8mm, or did I make that up in my head?
No, that's true. So I did Passerby, which was shot on film, which was like my first big girl film on film. and I learned so much from that experience. It was really exciting, and I've always manifested this. I think I like spoke about it so much that I've like written it into my reality, which I kept telling people that, oh, I just want to be working with films so much. And now I kind of feel like I've got that reputation a little bit. Like people come up to me and they're like, oh, you really do a lot with film. And I'm like, yes, thank God it's working. So I shot a music video with a really, really one of my best friends, who's also one of the most brilliant directors out there, Daniela Stefan. We shot a music video on a little Bolex, and it was the nicest weekend shooting with my best friends, with Jafar, who was also from my term, who is an amazing writer, director, and cinematographer, and Casey, who is also my best friend, who is also a writer, but now he is also into motion graphics. So that's a new avenue. But so 4-5 of us just met, like did this like weekend where we just went around London making this little music video together, which was really fun. And after we did that, I got approached. So last year was actually really, really, really quiet in terms of work for me, as it was for a lot of people, I would imagine. And it is like a unified struggle. And so it was really quiet because it's already such a hard time to be in the industry, as already being, you know, people who have worked for like 10-15 years were telling me how they struggled with work for the past 2 years. And then, you know, when you're just trying to break into the industry as well, like it is kind of slow and tough. So I did reach a point last year where I was like, wow, it's been like after the feature that I did with James, I hadn't been on a film set for a long time. And I was like, am I just not good enough? Like if it is that, then I have to accept that. And I have to just be strong enough to understand that maybe I'm not good enough. And maybe that's why I'm not going anywhere. And it was a really dark space where I kind of feel like I made it every minute of every day, all I thought about was just my career and how I was getting nowhere in it. And it just did nothing good for me.
And you usually, like if you're on social media, you see other people working on other projects and you go, damn. And yeah, you can get into a hole pretty quickly. I think that's where social media kind of tails off for me.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel like it's not so good to be like watching too much, and you have to you really do have to focus on yourself, and you have to focus on, if you're not getting the projects you want, why that is. You said your mom has a great saying. What is it? You invite what you reject.
Yeah, you attract what you reject. Yeah,
that's an interesting one. Yeah.
So and I genuinely just feel like I had centered my world so much around like who I am became so much as to like what I do, that I just felt like this is just so negative. And that's when I realized it like almost came to me, like talking to friends and people who were in the same place as me. I fortunately have had ambush this whole time, so I have been able to stay afloat. It's like been enough to like pay my rent and pay my bills and do all these things, but it obviously isn't the same feeling as being on set. You know, it's like we know, you know, when you're a filmmaker, like being on set is like everything. So it still wasn't that. So I was really in a really like hole where I kind of was like, okay, I just need to decide now. I started looking at like alternate careers. I was like, maybe I should do something else. Like maybe it's okay that like I can always have films, but like I have friends who have done that now, friends from LFS as well, who have stopped doing films. But
you always shoot, like I think at the end of the day you have to look at it as like, if I like to do it, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I'll do it on a weekend, I'll do it on a holiday,
exactly.
I'll do
but like
it'll
always be a passion.
Yeah.
So I had reached that point where I was like looking at doing like an interior design course, or like just doing design courses or like art direction and things like that. And that's when I realized that, you know, being a filmmaker and working in films is not a profession, it's a lifestyle. It's not something you know, when you're on set, you perform it and then that's when you are that. Like, I just feel like it is something that you have to make a part of who you are every day. And what I mean is, it stops being about centering just being on set as like being a filmmaker, but also just the fact that like even when you're not on set, you still practice it, like you still do it. And if this is something that I want to do for my whole life, then I have to start getting used to this fear of not having enough work, not working, because there's going to be phases. And I've spoken to big directors and DOPs and stuff who are like far ahead in their career who've told me that, yeah, I did the biggest job of my life. I shot Bridgerton, and then for 9 months I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
I was at home and I was doing DIY projects at home because I had nothing else to do. So it's going to happen for the rest of my life. And if I'm not able to handle it at this stage, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to, you know?
Yeah. I think you, like, if you really double down, you say, this is it. This is how it's going to be. You got to pay the rent.
Yeah.
Got to pay the rent.
Yeah.
And then everything else is kind of just, just make, like, I think part of it is going out and having experiences, right? Because I think at the end of the day, you're an artist, right? You're someone who's giving an expression to the world. So I think you have to go out and can be with a camera, can be without a camera, whatever. Go out and have experiences, meet people, do things.
Just live, you know. You can't stop living, waiting.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was doing. People would be like, oh, let's go take a break and let's go for like a little holiday somewhere. Like, you know, this little small backpacking trip, let's do it. And I was like, no, what if I get a job? Mm-hmm. And this was my life. Like I had held myself hostage to this idea of I will get work, and I will get work when I decide to like go out there and do something for myself that might not be working. And what I landed up doing was just like not having any time for friends, because I was not doing much, but I was just not making time for anything.
It's your energy level too. It's a weird thing to control a little bit, but yeah, you'll feel down. You'll feel you kind of have to, And
that's when I stopped. I was like, you know what? It's going to happen. It is going to happen because I know it's going to happen. I am an amazing DP.
Yes.
And I have to keep saying this to myself, but like I already am a cinematographer, and I am going to be everything that I want to be because I believe that it's going to happen. But it's not going to happen today.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen right now, but it will happen. But in the meanwhile, I have to live. I have to wake up and actually enjoy my life, and I have to enjoy being me. I have to go on that holiday, that backpacking trip, that, you know,
live your life.
That family occasion that I canceled just because I was prioritizing something else. I just have to live. I can't stop life. Like, life has to happen, and my career is going to happen because I am working hard every day. And that is the most you can do, but you can't like just stop everything else. And for anybody it's so easy said, because I know it's easy said, like, yeah, just live your life. But no, like be equally stressed out about your career and, you know, work hard towards what you want to do. But you have to have something worth sharing as well. You know, a lot of my work, of course, I'm recreating stories of directors, or like I'm helping them reach to their vision and ideas, but it is still coming from something inside of me. And if I don't have anything to say and to share with the world, then what am I doing? You know? So I think that's when I changed my whole perspective on my career. And now I'm in such a happy place because I have, and you know, genuinely, when I stopped freaking out and stopped scaring myself so much, that's when work started coming to me. People started coming to me and finding me. And I mean, maybe it's the timing is just funny.
And you have a brilliant website. You know, I think you have to kind of have those pathways out there for connection and be posting the right types of material but yeah, people will reach out, you know what I mean? You've created the places to for that to happen.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
And you can't force things, you know, because as a DOP, I can personally say a lot of the films that I'm going to do or that I have done have been with directors who I've known or have worked with me or have seen my work, or like word of mouth and things like that. And you have to be someone who's enjoyable to be around. Like, the whole process is the biggest part of it, you know. I really prioritize people. Like, that's the biggest reason why I do this. Honestly, I love filmmaking and I love films. I love cinema. But what I love the most about it is people. I'm such a people's person, and I have learned so much through so many experiences. I'm really protective about the crew that I bring on set. And I'm very against any kind of bad treatment. And like, there have been times where I've literally been like, I've stopped a shoot while I was DOPing once in the morning, just being like, this is ridiculous. Like, you know, like there has to be a certain level of like humane conditions for people to work. And I'm very passionate about that. I'm very particular about, you know, just respecting each other's work and things like that. So, and I think this has all happened through experiences working on different projects and with different people, that you sort of realize your values and principles. I'd much rather do lesser projects, but do projects that really mean a lot to me with people who are just very responsible and ethical people. I don't really care for the fast career. Like, I'm okay. I can take my time. I'm going to be healthy and fit till I don't know. My mom's 50 something and she's genuinely in the best shape ever. And I'm gifted with good genetics. Yeah. And I know that if I look after my body, I'll be like peaking at 50.
Time is on your side.
So right now, my whole focus is about obviously, doing those things that I need to do to better my career, networking still, going to meet people, meet directors. I have such strong connections with the directors I've already worked with. So Ruby, who I did Threat Tension with, wants to direct her second short film. I don't know how comfortable she is with speaking about it too much, but she has this amazing, very Dogma-esque style film. Again, like a horror-esque, thriller-esque film.
She seems like that's her vibe a little bit. Yeah,
and she's really good at it.
Yeah.
She has very good style, which I just love. And so she wants to set this film around Greece, which is where her ethnic heritage
is that true? Yeah, cool. Very cool.
So she wants to set this somewhere there, and so we were in talks for doing something like that. Then Daniela Stefan, who is my bestest friend. Oh my God,
her and Karina are like two of my favorite people in London for sure. They're so nice.
She is amazing. And both of them are they're sisters, but they can't be more different. Yeah. And I love the two of them so much. Like even Karina, I would imagine I'm going to work with Karina like again and again and again, millions of times. Her energy is just amazing.
I really like them. I really want to have them on the podcast.
Yeah, you should. Maybe see if you can have them together as well.
That would be fun. I'd like to switch it up. Yeah, I want to do different formats for things. Mostly it's been profiles like this, but I'm very open to kind of how the podcast kind of grows and things like that. But it's just been so nice to chat with people and kind of just get to know people that maybe just haven't had a chance to talk with this, and then we can share it, which I think doubles up, it really multiplies kind of the value.
And two Lebanese girls, I don't know how you'll get a word in.
I know.
I mean, Karina's very quiet, like not quiet, but like Danny.
They both can be quiet and but they're both super enthusiastic.
Oh yeah.
What are you gonna
amazing energy. So Daniela's actually writing her first feature.
Right.
Which is, we've been speaking about it for very long, and I'm not presumably, but she wants me to DOP it because we just have a very non-verbal just communication. We just have the same style, and we're just genuinely best friends. We're both born like 2 days apart and inseparable. So
that'll be a great opportunity.
Yeah, so that might potentially be my first feature.
That will be a great opportunity.
And I love Daniela's voice. She has this amazing, rebellious, fierce, strong energy, and setting it in Lebanon, which is a place that she so kindly shared with me. We went on a holiday where she invited me to Lebanon in 2023. For summer, and it just has my whole heart. I just love Lebanon, and I am so passionate about Lebanon and like the Levantine region and the Palestinian struggle, and so it has all of these themes, and I would love to. That would be such an exciting project for the future.
Can I ask you, you've brought up your mother a couple of times.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, it sounds like you guys have a great relationship. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what that relationship is like and like how she inspires you? It sounds like it's a very nice thing you guys have.
So my mom, her name is Irina. She is lovely. She has such a beautiful energy. I feel like has always been a very creative person. She actually was in a photography club when she was in college and things like that. Never went anywhere. She got married really young to my father, and just joined the family business and things like that. But she always had like a creative streak in her. And she told me recently, if I could do like study again, I would probably do with the arts, something in the arts and stuff. And so growing up, she raised as a single mom, and it was always like a really 3 women. It's like very turbulent and like very noisy household. But I think my mom is just, I'm everything because of my mom. I remember when I was younger, I struggled a lot in school because would question everything. I was like, but why am I studying this? But why am I doing this? But why? I had so many questions, and she would answer all my questions, and she really nurtured my curiosity a lot. And I remember I would struggle with school, or like not understanding certain things in school, like some kind of mathematical or scientific things, and I wouldn't understand it. They just like logic stuff just goes over my head. My brain is full right brain where it's all creative, like math and things like that. Like I just can't. And she would just tell me like, no, it's because you're creative, you know, your brain is just different, and you're just different. It's not like you're better or worse or anything. You're just different from everyone. And I remember like being told that when you're young, it's like, you know, 5, 6, 7, that really makes a difference to who you grow up to be. And I've been often told that I'm very confident as a person, and I genuinely think that stems from it being really honed and nurtured. Like, you know, I was allowed to be myself.
That's great.
I was never told that I was too loud, or I was told that, but I was just still do it. But, you know, so I think...
be a little loud.
Yeah, but I think my family in general has been very... Like, no one comes from a film background. A little bit, somewhat of a film... something like one of my uncles does distribution of
cool
East Asian films in India and stuff like that, but like nothing to the scale of like, you know, immediate, you know, family. My father was a businessman. My mom's family as well was like there in the travel agency, so no immediate creative connections. But I was always told, like my whole family would always just support that and just be like, yeah, you know, They always put it on like our family group and stuff, like, oh, Nizah got an award, like, oh, Nizah's film's at this festival. Cool. So I genuinely feel like that makes such a difference when you know that you have your family backing you up, because it can already be really hard, you know, navigating.
That's great. I mean, that just sounds like such great support that keeps you going forward, and you know that those kind of elements like they're so key, I think, as you kind of progress as an artist and a cinematographer and all that. It's nice to hear a little bit about. I think we got through most of our conversation about film. I think we talked about kind of your love for it, your photography, shooting passerby, an 8mm film you did.
I just have one film that I haven't spoken about. Yeah. Well, 2 films. So the end of last year, when I got out of this phase, this director called Anton Blaubach reached out to me, sent me an email being like, I want to make this film, and I've seen your work through LFS screenings. I don't know how he found it, but he's like, I've seen your work. I really love what you do. I have this film that I'm making. I haven't written it. I'm just directing it for a friend. It's like low budget. When they say low budget, they basically mean no budget. He's like, it's a very, very, very low budget film. And we had a first meeting, and I feel, and you've seen how much I can speak. That first meeting, I was quiet. He was amazing. He had such a good energy, and he was going on about the film. And then he was like, yeah, and also, I think I want to shoot this on film, but we obviously have no money. And I was like, we'll make it happen. He's like, how? And I was like, we'll make it happen. We'll just figure it out. Like, I always like to think that if you start off with like being like negative. Everything, if you start off with just being like, I can have everything,
you can do it. For
then maybe you can have this much. But if you start off being like, oh, I can only do this much, then you're only going to do that much. You're never going to do more than you can,
for sure.
So I like to start with a little bit of imagination, I would say, not delusion. And so I, through Passerby and stuff, and then obviously doing the 16mm music video with Daniela, I became friends with Andrew Hill, who works at Kodak. Yeah. He is like the key developer. I love him. He's such a lovely person. Yes. He's genuinely so supportive. He himself just loves film. Like, he's a film nerd. And I was like, hey, I really want to make this film. We really don't have any money. Do you have any film lying around that you just like have? He's like, yeah, I mean, I can see what I can do. And he said, all I can do is like 4 rolls. Is that enough? And I was like, we'll take it. I'll take anything you can do. So he gave me 5 rolls of 400 feet of 200 ISO film, 16mm film. And I was like, I promise you, I will do everything I can with my life to make sure this is like treated well.
Cool.
And he just did it just like that because he's just a nice guy, and he doesn't do this. He just was like, I worked, and he's also a friend by now. Like, we've spoken a lot and stuff. So he just did a really, really kind favor. And then I reached out to Sunbelt, which I love Sunbelt. Shout out to Sunbelt as well. I love them. People at Sunbelt are so nice. And I was like, hey guys, we have no money for this film. Do you by any chance have a spare 60mm camera that you can just give us for free? They're like, yeah, we do actually.
Great.
They were like, is this real? We just got film for free. We just got the full camera, just like everything for free. We had to pay a little bit for the lighting stuff as well, but managed to just pull this together.
You're producing. You're basically like making it all happen.
I don't like doing this stuff, but
you did it.
Yeah.
To make it happen, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're very casual.
Really lucky.
You got a good kind of way of just talking to
you
these
just
people.
have to be honest as well about things, I think. Sometimes you just can't be, let me be smart about this and let's pretend like I'm bigger than who I am and like try to put my foot in there. It's just not going to work. Like if you're just going to be honest and be yourself, like you'd be surprised there's a lot of people in the industry who actually just want to help you.
Yeah.
So we got really lucky with that. We shot this amazing black and white film over 2 days in a house in Folkestone. So it was just this beautiful black and white film, but we shot it on color stock. So that was a really fun experience for me because I shot it in black and white for color as well. So there's a lot of like things that LucasArts, like on Ida and stuff like that. They also shot on an Alexa, I want to say like an Alexa Mini, but they didn't shoot black and white, so they also lit for color. So I read a lot, we did a lot of research, and I collaborated with this amazing DOP who also gaffers, whose name is Charles Alexander. He's an Australian DOP. He DOP'd James Rush, LFS.
James Rush. Sounds
Australian.
Familiar. Okay.
So he DOP'd James Rush's grad film, and he moved back to the UK, and now he works here. So that's when I collaborated with him for the first time, and he's an amazing gaffer who I worked with. So he also was amazing because he's a DOP, so his approach to it as well is not just like technical, it's also creative. So we had all these insane ideas. We like lit everything that was supposed to be the shadows for blue, and then everything that was supposed to be like highlights yellow, so that when we go into the grade, we can actually separate the color spectrums and individually, like, so rather than, being able to just have a dark room and just have a light, and we like could actually concentrate how much shadow we want in gradient and corners and things like that. We did some really fun stuff. A lot of fun textural work with like different layers of lace and fabric and stuff that we bounced on and things like that. So we just had like a fun experimental time, because it was one of those projects you could just, everyone's just there to, do their best. Yeah. No one's getting paid for anything. So
that's
you just
kind of...
So that was a really fun experience. And then right after that...
Where was that film shot again?
In Folkestone. So it was a house in Folkestone. So it was like a little weekend away.
Nice.
With a bunch of really cool people. And some people I'd worked with before. Some people... Lulu was a production designer on that. And then after this, I just got a call from somebody Daniela recommended me to. This director who's half Persian, half Mexican, based in New York, was coming to London his name is Liam Lopinto. He's done a couple shorts before himself. He's an animator and a writer-director. And he was coming to London for a fellowship program, and he was coming along with another actor who was coming for one of the, like an Oscar campaign that she was doing in London. And the timing just worked out, and he reached out to me. He's like, hey, I'm doing this film, like mixed film. So he shot a bunch of it on 8mm and then wanted to do like half of the film, more than half of the film on 16mm. So he's like, I know I love your work. It really resonates with the theme of the film. So we shot this Persian warrior princess film, which was a really interesting experience as well, working with a very different crew, like the production was international. And I got to work with Charlie again, and it had its own technical constraints and things like that, but just to be able to put something together really quickly, like, you know, without any pre-production and stuff, like, cool. Really, really challenging project. But yeah, so those 2 projects in the can. Damn. Currently.
Very nice.
And I'm working closely with the directors in terms of, obviously, because the first one we spoke about, because it was black and white, but we shot in color, it has such a big job in the grade. So Anton's father is also a DOP. He's a BSc DOP himself, Philip Blaubach. And he shot Anton's first film.
Huh.
So, and I shot Anton's second film. So I was like, you've got quite the downgrade. But meeting Anton's family as well was really nice. Meeting his mom was really nice. And she's like, you remind me so much of my husband, the way he was. And so that's really such a big... So yeah, I feel like right now I'm just really excited about the future, because I've... nothing that you imagine is going to happen. So I'm really excited for all the exciting things that are happening. All the new people I've met. Anton, again, I'm somebody I'm going to work with like multiple times in the future again. Really, really great collaboration.
Great.
Really young, but very, very head screwed on. Very good director. He was just doing like second unit stuff on a film that his dad was DOPing as well. So really, really cool guy. Then Liam as well, who's gone to New York when, you know, this film comes in. I feel like it might be something really exciting to see. Because, yeah... Very interesting. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I feel like we've covered everything.
Yeah, that is everything.
I've got a sense of, you know, your beginnings, your love of film, the things you worked on at LFS, some of the things you've worked on after. You know, this project with Daniela, this feature, I mean, that is going to be awesome. I already can tell you that that's going to be amazing. You know, that's such a strong core there with the 2 sisters and yourself. And working with James and just doing everything. It's such a nice, well-rounded beginning. Can you believe that's just the beginning?
I know.
And there's going to be so many great things that happen. So, Nizah Elias, I just want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. Hopefully we can do another one, maybe after the feature. You know, I'd love to do like a director's commentary, like once that feature is completely done.
You know, Billie Eilish does this like interview that she does every year. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
So Billie Eilish does this interview. I think it's with like not Variety, but like, I don't know, with some like agency where she does it every year. I think it'd be really interesting for like every 2 years we catch up.
Yeah.
And we'll do this. It's like, this was cathartic. This is really nice to catch up.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it's meant to be. It's meant to kind of like we're united as emerging filmmakers going forward. And we're going to help each other, you know. And the podcast is kind of like the recorded thing, but, you know, we'll work on projects together. And, you know, that's my goal, is just to reach out and just get in touch with some people that, you know, we just haven't had a chance because we are so busy, you know, and there's times ups and downs and all of that, and that we're united in that. So just thank you so much. And I'll see you again on the podcast soon, and we'll be talking, and I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yep.